You want to go ahead and jump into news time?
Oh, I'm always ready, man.
For news?
Dive.
All right, well, this is Witty Banter.
You've been on.
I think this is my favorite part.
Well, I mean, y'all are so good at it. I mean, I'm so impressed by you. I mean, most guests don't really get the beep.
Oh, you gotta go for it.
Oh, man, when you go for it, you feel so good about it.
Boop, bop, well, you know, I just saw Whiplash, so
Really?
I've got.
What was that
Oh
movie?
gosh.
It's supposed to be awesome.
Did they beep and boop all over the place?
I got
or?
some scatting in my bones.
Wow.
No, it's great. You know, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not a huge fan of Miles Teller, just to begin with.
Yeah.
But he impressed me with this. And
Okay.
If anything, the guy who I think's up for best supporting coming up, J.K. something. J.K.
Is that the kid?
No, he's he's actually the professor.
The
and
instructor guy?
Yeah, it's this Juilliard kind of setting.
Oh, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
the,
freaking guy.
Daily Planet. But no, I was
State
impressed.
Farm commercials, Whiplash, he's done it all.
Right.
Cool. Okay, well, let's go ahead and jump right in.
Alrighty.
So this one comes from an article written by Natasha Tiku from TheVerge.com, right?
Oh, I love her.
This
Verge is
she's the
great.
greatest.
Mhm.
I have a poster of her on my wall.
Mm.
The story reads, Twitter CEO Dick Costolo says, quote,
I'm glad you
we
brought this
suck at dealing with abuse and trolls on the platform, and we've sucked at it for years. It's no secret, and the rest of the world talks about it every day. We lose core user after core user by not addressing simple trolling issues that they face every day, end quote. And then he goes on, I'm going to give you one more.
Okay.
He goes on to say, quote, I'm frankly ashamed of how poorly we've dealt with this issue during my tenure as CEO. It's absurd. There's no excuse. I take full responsibility. And we're going to start kicking those people off right and left to make sure that they don't do these antics, end quote.
Wow.
End quote.
That's
So
interesting.
I just want to get your takes on that because it's no secret that the internet is a very negative, volatile place.
Mhm.
It's no secret that Twitter can get pretty disgusting, especially.
Oh, yeah.
Like I'm going to use that woman Anita Sarkeesian, who is like she trumpets women like feminism in video games, and like it's just death threat after rape threat,
Which
all
Wow.
is
day.
ridiculous.
That's
And-
insane.
So first of all, just gut reactions to the CEO coming out and saying this. What do you guys think?
My initial thing is like, was there something that necessarily warranted him coming out about? Like, was it that he had been unspoken on this topic for a long time and he felt like he needed to come to the table about it, or was there like something that happened that he was like, this needs to be addressed?
Well, just a little context. This was an internal memo that got picked up by outside sources.
Wow, so it
this
shouldn't have
was-
been leaked.
Wow.
This was to the company.
Okay.
Okay. And
Or was it?
or was it? Yeah. who
You never
knows?
know. It could
Right.
be marketing, man.
That's interesting. That's an interesting approach. But still, what can really be done? Honestly.
Well, and so I mean, it seems his big thing was that this is killing their user base, right?
Yeah.
I think it's fascinating because at the same time, I don't know if this kind of add to the news segment. Google just locked down a huge deal with Twitter to kind of start to drive more traffic towards their users.
Dave, what's the nature of the
So basically, back in 2011, for a period of time, whenever you'd Google search something, there would be like, a Twitter feed that would more or less pop up that could be related to the search, right?
Wow.
Anything that kind of was buzzwords that hit along that would kind of throw a Twitter feed, and that disappeared for a while. So they kind of rigged a new deal now where they're going to start including, with your Google searches, any kind of related Twitter feed that would pop up.
Wow.
And the goal here is, if you search something on Google and then you're like, oh, there's people are tweeting about this, I click on it. If you're logged out, it will immediately go to like, you got to log in to go look at this. But if you're not, and you're not a user of Twitter yet, then it sends you to a sign-up page, right? So it's just another way to start to
Wow.
drive users. So I think, this is interesting. Obviously, he's coming out, to try and, lay down the law with what, he wants to come off as a big shot. But I think it's just part of a bigger push to continue to drive, however many users they can back to
Yeah.
Twitter, and
Yeah.
we're gonna come out and say we're cleaning up the space, and we're just gonna try and bring as many people to it as possible.
So it sounds like he wants like an increased effort at blocking these people, removing them from the website. And I understand that. So here's just a question I want to pose to you guys. At what point, it's his platform, it's his business. He's allowed to dictate who gets to use it and who gets to not use it.
Okay.
But where does like free speech even play into this at a certain point?
Yeah, it's like because trolling is sort of a vague term.
Yeah.
It's like people kind of like make it out like you're not trolling until you're trolling, and it's
Yeah.
like there's a lot of gray space in between there where you could just be saying something that might piss people off, but it's still what you think.
Right.
Yeah.
Somebody might think that that's trolling, but that might just be your actual honest opinion.
Yeah, and
There's
I
some
mean-
people that have controversial opinions out
Well,
there.
it's interesting because I always think there's a line of, trolls taking on just, I'm going to be a nuisance to where like I'm being a vigilante for something, or this is a wild west of the internet and I'm the equilibrium. I'm keeping the people in check, or I think
Yeah, it's like a sense of duty that they have.
Right, exactly, and that gets. I mean, obviously with Ferguson, you see Anonymous getting involved in trolling in any way they can, and I think it is interesting you bring up free speech, because as we continue to explore the wild west that is the internet, there will ultimately be an intersection of how are human rights going to get involved, how are rights in general going to get involved with free speech, and privacy, and it's going to open up a can of worms.
Targeting those people who are like being specific, like death threats, those sort of things.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's pretty unmistakably negative and trolling. Not as much as like being annoying and all that, which people I guess have a right to their opinions and stuff, but this is like just straight up harassment. And I think it should
totally.
Now, a second part to my question, kind of going off the same line of thought here. Now, a lot of the reason why being so negative on the internet is possible is because you have this anonymous mask. You have an avatar, correct?
Yeah.
Now, I just read recently as well that Chinese laws may start pushing to not, like, you will have to verify your identity on the internet. And you will not be able to have this avatar handle. Do you guys think that is fair? I mean, would you feel violated if the United States came out with a law tomorrow that said you can no longer use the internet unless you are identified as yourself?
Yes.
Do you think that is a violation?
I think I would be. I don't know if offended's the right word, but I think the beautiful thing about the internet is anonymity. But it will ultimately could be the death of it. I think that it is its own space that you can come out and express how you want to be within reason. And I think that's where we're starting to see, these people are pushing the line with death threats, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't think a government can claim that level of regulation on you to,
So you think it's basically an inherent right to be able to be anonymous?
I do, yeah.
I think I feel the same way.
And it's terrifying at the same
I honestly
time,
don't know. I mean, I'm not saying I won't completely discount that what the effort that China is going through is completely unfounded, or that it doesn't have its merits. But I mean, yeah, I would prefer to have it the way that it is right now versus having to have verify that I'm Hunter Dorsett every time I get on Google.
Right.
You know, but at the same time, I mean, what if doing something like that ended up promoting a sense of responsibility when you're on the internet that wasn't there beforehand?
That is very true.
And respecting other people.
There's even a reality show I think in the United Kingdom where people would find these trolls in real life on the internet and go to their house and confront them about what they said.
And catfish them.
It is very interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that was just a question that I sort of was thinking to myself that maybe we could take more time to ponder outside of in the coming weeks. But it's just an interesting dynamic.
I definitely think, there will, by no means do I advocate for trolls because I don't like trolls. But it's clearly become almost its own art form and clearly getting a reaction out of people, and for us to have conversations about it, because it's what it's driving.
Here's
it's
your
just
first Witty Banter condones all trolling.
Trolling. Don't troll.
Come on, man.